Set your project directory, click on the project directory button, and open up a folder called metaEffectors. Click Open to Set. Go to File, and to load a file from the Scenes folder called metaEffectSoftSetup.fxs. So you have a pretty cool blind devil here, and I've only placed 5 bones in there. In Messiah, the less bones you have, especially for a fleshy character, the better it will deform. So we move the head and neck around, it looks pretty cool. Now the problem is, because we have so little bones in here, everything else gets calculated the same way too. So when we rotate the jaw down, you can see the teeth squishing around. We want the teeth to appear solid and menacing. So what we need to do is customize the way the mesh is affected by these bones. So what we need to do is find a way to customize what the bones are doing to the mesh. Now, I could add 15 bones in there to overlap each of the teeth, but that would take a lot of time, and if the model changed, I'd be out of luck and I'd have to add bones to the new model. Instead, I'm going to use a tool called a metaEffector, which will shift the values on the teeth to another bone so that I don't have these teeth stretching around. Let's click into Setup. We'll go to a left view here. I'm going to add 1 bone, one for the upper teeth. So middle mouse click on the head. Use the plus key on the keypad to add a bone to that. So open up the rename block and name this one up teeth. Uncheck Align Z to Parent. Let's move this back on Z, down on Y, so that it overlaps our teeth. I'm going to use a metaEffector to shift the values of the mesh to this bone so that our teeth don't stretch around, so they appear rigid. So go to the Tools tab. There's a pull-down menu here, and add the metaEffector tool. Click plus to add it. Just drag that to the top of the list. We'll call that devil underscore up teeth meta. You see the metaEffector block down here at the bottom. We have add effector, which will add a 3-dimensional field, and there's an add items to weight drawing list. We can move this field around anywhere we want. The big problem is there's no way to actually see what values our metaEffector is adding to this mesh. So if we highlight up teeth meta, our root metaEffector, hold down the control key and select our devil mesh, we can add the items to the weight drawing list. Now when we select our metaEffector field and move it around, we can see that it's actually shifting values around on the mesh. We open up the effector block again, and you can see that there's a field of influence. That would be this field here. Right now it's set to infinite, which means it starts at 1 right at the center and then drops down to 0 all the way out forever. Finite just means it stops right at the end of the sphere. Linear is the way it's calculated, between 1 and 0 to the edge. Constant means everything within the sphere gets a value of 1. Connected means all of the polygons that are inside the sphere get labeled as 1. We're going to use one called all connected, which means all of the polygons inside the sphere that make up a single mesh that are attached to each other. So we'll drag this over on top of the upper teeth. We're going to adjust the radius on this sphere. So drag the Y down to a value of about 0.05. Drag Z down to a value of 0.1. Use the A key to center our selection, and we'll zoom in. You'll see as we move it around, once it stops overlapping geometry, it goes back to 0. So if you select more than one chunk of geometry, it will tag all of those with a value of 1. So position this one right on top of the upper teeth. We'll zoom back out, and we'll middle mouse click to highlight our up teeth bone, and you'll see under the bone block there's a weight pull down menu, which happens to have our metaEffector inside it. So I'll highlight that, go back into animate, and you can see that now our teeth don't stretch, because our meta effector has shifted all of the values on the upper teeth to our new bone here, devil_up teeth, which naturally excludes it from our jaw and our head. So when we move the jaw around, our teeth don't stretch. But when we select the head, shift the head around, the rest of our body moves normally. And we still have a flexible mesh. Let's change that draw mode back to something normal. And when working with soft selections on meta effectors, remember that it isn't making all values absolute. What it's doing is it's making the control points and polygons under the meta effector favor the bone you selected. So the other bones still have some influence on the mesh. For example, if you look at the canine down here, as I pitch the bone down, you see that it stretches ever so slightly. Easily fixed. If you middle mouse click on our teeth, which contain that meta effector, on the pull down, and just pull it down more so it overlaps the canine more, so it doesn't move at all. Go to File. I'm going to save this scene as metaSoft A.fxs.